The time is now 6 p.m. Our regular City Council meeting for March 2nd, 2021 is now in session. First on the agenda is Councilmember Hayward will lead us with the opening prayer and the pledges of allegiance to the flags of the United States and the state of Texas. Please rise.
Bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to make it here safely tonight. Thank you for your many abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself. Thank you for sustenance and for friendship. Lord, let us see that your will is of peace, love, and abundant joy. Remind us that we can face any adversity with you. Lord, thank you for our city staff that work diligently and tirelessly to make the city run as smoothly as possible. Father, thank you for our first responders who are always putting themselves before others and protecting us from danger. And Lord, protect them as they work tirelessly through giving the COVID vaccines that you give, that gives people hope and joy, that you allow them to take a moment to breathe. Lord, I also ask for peace and comfort for families that have lost loved ones. Lord, allow us to make the right decisions on this agenda set before us tonight. I ask that you continue to watch over us and guide us and keep us until we meet again. I ask these blessings in Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Councilmember Hayward. All right, special announcement. Guests, council, and staff, while seated, it's perfectly fine for you to remove your mask or while speaking at the podium. But while you approach the podium or depart our chamber, we ask that you place your face mask back on. I also have another special announcement regarding the Hal Baldwin Scholarship. As a reminder, students that are participating in the Hal Baldwin Scholarship are required to sign in on the sheet located in the back. Students that are watching our meeting online can still receive credit by contacting Sarah Gonzalez at sgonzalez@schertz.com. And that email again is S as in Sierra, G as in golf, O as in Oscar, N as in Nancy, Z as in Zulu, A as in Alpha, L as in Lima, E as in Echo, Z as in Zulu @schertz.com. All right, we'll continue with employee recognition. First is IT systems.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Miles Clauser, I'm the IT Director for the City of Schertz. It's my honor today to introduce to you two new staff members. We are pleased that we've added two very competent and what we think qualified people. As you know, the IT department's been running a little shorthanded for the last year, but so we're very pleased to have these people join us. First, Andrew Conley is our IT support specialist. Hails from Lindenwold, New Jersey, so he's a transplant. Played baseball in high school, joined the Marines, so he's an ex-Marine, studied diesel mechanics, and Marines decided he didn't like to do that. So he's joined us in the IT role and is excited about doing that. He's got a girlfriend in the Air Force. He has a younger sister called Amanda, and he's studying at SAC Network Administration, Cybersecurity. Likes to build PCs, which is a good thing for an IT guy. Enjoys going to the gym and is obsessed with tools, PC hardware, and anything else technology related. So I'd like you to welcome Andrew Conley. Andrew, you want to make a few comments?
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? Thank you for your time, and look forward to meeting all of you and all those I've not met. So thank you.
Well, welcome to our team.
Okay, thank you. Next is Jack Bluebird. He is our new Senior Systems Administrator. He hails from Dumas, Texas, of all places. We've had other employees from Dumas in the past. So attended San Antonio, attended the SAC. He is a retired Air Force. Is that correct?
Just one term, sir.
Just one term in Air Force. Okay, so he went one term in the Air Force, been married for 30 years. 3 children, Skylar, Jake, and Jaden. His handwriting is not very good. Daughter getting married soon. His youngest son is in the Air Force. His hobbies are brewing beer. All right. Jeep owner, and he loves to do off-roading, travel, theme parks, running events, and obstacle courses, which again is a good thing for an IT person. So I do want you to welcome Jack Bluebird. Thank you.
Hello, nice to meet you guys. Hopefully be able to serve the city well. Thank you.
Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Dr. Brown. I'd like to introduce our new Public Works employee. This is Luis Hinosa. He has a wife, Claudia Hinosa, 2 daughters, Valentine, which is 3 years old, and Valeria Hinosa, who is 2. Luis likes playing with his English bulldog, Roxy. Some of his past experiences in the jobs, he was an owner-operator from 2018 to 2020, and he is also worked for Schulenberger Pressure Pumping from 2011 to 2018. His first job was at Albertsons Grocery Store in 1995 in Laredo, Texas. His favorite holiday is Thanksgiving. Get to sit with the family and eat and enjoy all the family. If he could go anywhere in the world, he would want to go to Maui, Hawaii. He said he's actually been there, but would love to go back. Another question, we kind of asked him if you could have a superpower, what would it be? He said, be able to go back in time, change a lot of personal choices and events. What is the best advice you've ever gotten at work? He said, you are the architect of your own future. Work at what you want to be. He was born and raised in Laredo, Texas. Luis Hinosa.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's an honor and privilege to work for such a beautiful community. I hope to do my best and service, everybody I can here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome to our team. All right, we'll continue with city events and announcements of upcoming events.
Good evening, Council. Charles Kelm, Assistant City Manager. On Wednesday, March 3rd, tomorrow morning, we have Breakfast with the Blue at Abel's Diner from 8 to 10, so get to know your neighbors and your local police officers over breakfast. Tomorrow evening, we have the Main Street Committee meeting at Council Chambers at 6 p.m. On Saturday, March 6th, we have Kick Cancer Virtual 5K, 1K will take place March 5 through 15, 2021 to raise funds for cancer research. Participants are encouraged to complete the 5K or 1K at their favorite park and then submit their results for events prizes. Register online at Schertz.com. The council meeting for Tuesday, March 9th has been canceled. Our next regularly scheduled council meeting is on Tuesday, March 23rd. And finally, the highlight of the spring season, the Adult Kickball League, sponsored by the Schertz Parks and Rec Social League, is kicking off, and that is Sundays, April 18th through March 23rd. Games will be played Sunday evening from 6 to 10 p.m., April 18th through March 23rd at Thulmeyer Park. Register online at Schertz.com or the Parks Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelm. Announcements and recognitions by our City Manager, Dr. Brown. That is awesome. All right, announcements and recognitions by the mayor. I have none, so we'll continue with the hearing of residents. This time is set aside for any person who wishes to address the City Council. Each person is limited to 3 minutes, and we ask before addressing the council, for the record, please state your name and address. All right, Mayor Pro Tem, please call the first speaker.
Mandy Moore.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a minute since I've been up here. I'm here to talk about the same thing that I talk about all the time. My address, or name and address, right? Mandy Moore, 1653 North Santa Clara, Texas, 78124. So the last time I was up here, I decided to go ahead and email our mayor about the issue that we've been approaching all about every meeting, because we tried to speak by phone and it didn't work out so well. Apparently we keep very different hours. So I didn't, I've done my due diligence before and wasted my time because the confirmation bias on this board is very obvious. So I'm just going to go ahead and read the email that I sent to our mayor. I never heard back. I went ahead and sent it to a couple of people, copied them in on it so that we would have record that it was sent and when it was sent. So I said, good morning, how are you? I hope this email finds you well, and I still do. I hope y'all made it through our winter storm well. By the way, kudos on the warming station and on the COVID vaccines. I heard y'all did a very good job on that. I wanted to reach out in this manner because we are obviously both very busy individuals, and trying to correlate a time for a phone call has proven unsuccessful. My hope is this form of communication will work better for you. Obviously, it did not. I am writing this, as I said, at Pickerel Park, about to head to work. You see, just because I don't live in Schertz, as was pointed out last time I was here, does not mean that I do not have a personal connection to this town. It was a 1 in a million shot that we even found ourselves here. We're not from Texas originally. But now we work in the city. We shop in the city. We even play in the city at the parks now that they have reopened. We know people here, too, a lot of people, who we have formed close bonds with over the past couple of years. Our interests and concerns do not stop at our property line or our city limit. One of those concerns is the police brutality case that we have brought to your attention many times now. I'm sure you think of this case more often than just the occasional Tuesday, as we all do. You see, the incident was such that it really stood out in this quiet little town, and not in a good way. It has caused myself and many others to look at all of the local officers with skepticism. We don't know which ones we can trust. We don't know which ones were born with good ethics. And we don't know which ones we can't trust because the bad ones, the unethical ones, are not being held accountable for their actions. That is why I would like to request a meeting with the mayor and anyone else who would like to join in, and police accountability activists from this area. I look forward to arranging a time for this meeting. I still look forward to arranging a time for that meeting. If anybody's interested, go ahead and reach back out. Yeah, I'll enjoy your evening.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. I do have a comment. That email was forwarded on February the 11th, according to my email. There was a response on February 16th. I'm not sure whether or not you received it. Okay. All right. Mayor Pro Tem, let's call the next speaker.
Leonard Moore.
How's it going? Leonard Moore, 1653 North Santa Clara, Texas, 78124. Missed y'all last week, but, you know, life happens, and because of weather, I'm sure you guys were busy. So was I, playing catch up with my job. So I couldn't be here. And I struggled with that because I made y'all a promise that I would be here. But due to life and the limitations therein, I had to make a choice. Provide for my family or stand up for someone else's. That's not a good choice to have to make, because I think I'm standing up for what's right. And when I have to sacrifice standing up for what's right to protect my own, there's a moral crisis there. But it made me really think, how can you all not be going through a moral crisis? Because you have no stake in the game. You don't have to sacrifice the well-being of yours and you for someone else's. We're all American. We're all people. And everybody likes to say, stand together and united we stand. But none of you actually mean it. Because when someone else suffers, you do nothing. Nothing. You hunker down and you say, well, it doesn't affect me, so screw it. It's not important. Ask yourselves, if you were in their position, would you still feel the same way you do now? If you were in that young man's shoes and it happened to you, would you still be back in the blue? Or would you hope that somebody, somewhere, did something to help you? It's in your power to do something to help. And you're not doing it because you have no stake in the game. But you're all elected officials. An election's coming. One day, it'll happen. And you'll have a stake in the game. And I know you're going to play the politician answers of, well, you know, nobody's going to buy it next time. You want to give politician answers, you're going to get politician questions. You might not have a stake now, but ask yourself, what if it happened to you?
I'll retransmit. All right, Mayor Pro Tem, will you call the next speaker?
Maggie Titterington.
Good evening, Council. Maggie Titterington, 1730 Schertz Parkway. A few things. We're making some adjustments with our luncheon schedules in cooperation with the City of Schertz doing their vaccinations. We had hoped to be back into the Civic Center in April, but we're not, and that's okay. We're going to utilize our two sister theaters, Evo and Santikos. We're trying to arrange to be at Evo for April and June, and we're at Santikos this month, and then I think in May. So they seem to be stepping up and letting us use that space, so we're very excited, and of course we're very happy to give up our place in the Civic Center for a very worthy cause, which is these vaccinations. Second, we have kicked off our taste, and people are coming or running to get their game cards. So I did leave one of these flyers with Brenda. I'll leave one up front. And this is what the game cards look like. And this is awesome. It is 25 vendor providers plus an additional bonus of Blue Wave on here. So 26 of our area's businesses, eateries. There's a distillery, brewery on here. But anyways, this is what it looks like. And all you have to do is simply visit these places, do a minimum purchase of whether it's a drink or a lunch or a dinner, whatever it is, car wash, and they will give you a sticker. You have to bring the card for them to validate that you're playing, and to get the sticker, you have to make a minimum purchase. But again, we're not saying what it has to be. Whoever completes however many during the month of March, you bring it back to the chamber on the 31st, and before 5 o'clock, we'll enter you in a drawing. And the breakdown of the prizes are 3 to 7 visits is $100. You're entered into a drawing for a $100 Visa cash card. 8 to 12 visits is $250. 13 to 17 is $500, and anything over 18 is $1,000 on a Visa cash card. So that drawing will be on April 7th. And then the last item, I'm sure you all haven't heard, I'm sure you have heard, the governor is lifting the mandate for face masks, and for businesses, they can operate at 100%. It is not until the 10th, next week at 12:01 a.m. I did send out an email to the membership. I've been getting a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, a lot of texts, a lot of concerns about can we still have safety protocols. Yes, you can, and in fact, in the order, GA 34, he even expressly says, you know, he still strongly advises that face masks are worn, still strongly advises to have some social distancing, but where it ends is that the businesses can now take their upon themselves to actually post that or ask or enforce it within their private businesses as they're able to do that. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more questions, but I know this is a step in the right direction, but I think it caught a lot of us by surprise. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem, please call the next speaker.
I think that's the last one.
All right, Ms. Dennis, is there any hearing the residents submitted in writing? All right, thank you. We'll move on to consent agenda items. These items are considered self-explanatory, and information packets are provided to the council and available for public viewing. These items require no separate discussion unless requested by council. Item number 1, the approval of the minutes of our regular meeting on February 23rd, 2021. Item number 2, resolution number 21R18, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, accepting the semi-annual reports with respect to the progress of our capital improvement plan and other matters in connection therewith. Item number 3, ordinance number 21A05, an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, providing for the extension of the boundary lines of the City of Schertz, Texas by annexation of approximately 214 acres of land located in Bexar County, approximately 6,000 feet east of the intersection between FM 1518 and Lower Seguin Road, also known as Bexar County Property Identification Numbers 309419, 309811, 310011, and 310013, and this is our final reading. Also, item number 4, resolution number 21R15, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing a contract with San Antonio Constructors, Ltd., relating to the Schertz Parkway concrete pavement repair project and authorizing the budget expenditures for the project. All right, Council, do any of these need to be removed for separate action? Yes, Councilmember Scott.
Number 5, please. Ordinance number 21-S-06.
That is a discussion item.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
I beg your pardon.
Right, Council, any of them? Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 4?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Hayward, second by Councilmember Brown.
One moment. Point of order. So if I vote aye, does that mean that I'm very sorry because this is very new to me. I wanted to discuss this before. I watched the City Council last week. I was unable to attend, but I don't want to vote aye if it conflicts with my vote here.
Are you referring to item number 5?
Yes.
It's separate. It is separate action. We're not voting on that one.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other comments? All right. Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
We have 7 ayes, no objection, motion passes. All right. We'll move on to item number 5, discussion item. Ordinance number 21S06, An ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, amending the official zoning map by rezoning approximately 229 acres of land to Planned Development District, PDD, located approximately 6,000 feet east of the intersection between FM 1518 and Lower Seguin Road, also known as Bexar County Property Identification Numbers 309419, 309811, 310011, and 310013, City of Schertz, Bexar County, Texas. All right, this is a discussion item. Council, do we need to go through the whole presentation, or do you just open up for questions? All right, we'll go ahead and just open up for questions. Councilmember Scott?
Thank you. I did watch the city council last week, so I feel like I'm conversant with it. What threw me for a loop, discussion and action item at the very bottom of this, and I kind of went past that, and I thought that was on the agenda. So I believe that I understand how everyone on city council feels about this subject, because I did watch the meeting. And I'm sorry I was unable to attend last week. My husband had just got out of the hospital. He's having some health issues. But I definitely want to weigh in on this. Is it appropriate to go ahead and give my opinion, or do we need to? Okay, thank you. And so everybody, in a sense, has a dog in the fight. Everybody has a vested interest in how we develop Schertz. Everybody does. Real estate people want to sell more houses. Business people want to have more business, more bodies coming in the door. Property owners want to be able to sell their property at the highest margin possible. People who have lived here for a long time, they might want to mitigate the growth and kind of control it instead of it just being run rampant. And suddenly we're just in a super congested area. I remember that in my former life when I was in media, and I don't think this has changed that much. It was only 5 years ago. Whenever I would run the profile for Schertz, it was called Tapestry. It's looking at lifestyles, more than just sheer demographics, male, female, medium age, household income, all of that. Looking at lifestyle clusters. Schertz had one of the highest ones in the nation for having the most cars, because we have a lot of kids. We are probably a little more affluent than average. I'm not saying we're the Dominion, but we have kids. The kids drive cars. We have by far one of the highest cohorts of life groups with vehicles. The median was like 4 vehicles a household. It was a lot then, and if anything, I feel like it's gotten more now, because in my own neighborhood, I'm looking around and I'm seeing a bunch of young people move in as other, the older people are moving out to the country or what have you. I don't feel that's changed. I can't say with 100% certitude, but I know for a fact 5 years ago, Schertz had a lot of cars per household compared to the U.S. average. Whenever I was looking at this, and I made it my business to kind of know what I'm talking about. Sometimes what you buy is not what you're sold. Sometimes your understanding of something, when you're approached with it, you just get all the bells and whistles and how great it's going to be, a loose analogy. I'm not going to tell my party about radio, but a loose analogy, when you go to buy a house and it's just fantastic, but then when you go move in it, well, there's the train, there's the dog barking next door, there's the flooding in the basement. You don't know till you experience it. Something like this, we won't know until it's already here upon us, but whenever I look around at neighboring communities with this kind of congestion, like with the townhomes and then the little garden homes and it can be oppressive. So I did talk to P&Z. I have read this. I watched all of the city council minutes, and I understand. I appreciate everybody's comment. And I'm not saying that gratuitously. I do. I understand there's a lift station. I understand we have infrastructure to support it all. I understand everybody wants the best for the community, but it's how we interpret what's the best for the community. I think that we deserve green space, and I think that too much congestion makes life oppressive. I don't want Schertz to become like it is not only on the East Coast where it's super congested and you got to go to a park just to lay your eyes on some greenery, but just parts of around San Antonio are starting to get that way. we are not going to lose a developer because we put on the brakes and say, no, we got to slow this down and we need to fix it before it's the tail wagging the dog. People are moving to Texas just in massive, massive amounts of numbers. That growth is going to continue unabated. They're coming, and they're not going away. And it's in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal. You cannot open a paper without seeing the growth in Texas. 80% of the growth in the past decade has been within 50 miles of IH-35 in the city of Houston. And we're right in the sweet spot. From here to Austin, it's just going gangbusters. So I like standards. I like them a lot. I'm not anti-growth, but I'm very much anti just super, super condensed congestion where the houses are just so very close. Like when we built our house, it was almost 10,000 square feet, and I cannot imagine I thought that yard was small. I can't imagine this is like having two houses in our yard. I was just flabbergasted when I saw that. But anyway, I think we're all out for the best of Schertz. It's just how we interpret. I respect every council person in this organization, but it's how we interpret what that is. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Hey. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker.
I wanted to make a further observation since I knew there were some concerns, and not that I can alleviate concerns myself, but I looked into it and I asked some questions that the city staff was great about getting back to me. But one of the concerns brought up is the congestion, as Councilman Scott mentioned. And so, what do we think of when we think of congestion? And her example, and what I think of congestion as well, is houses stacked up on top of each other. I don't think it, to me, it doesn't feel comfortable. It feels like you're cramped. The interesting thing about the way Saddlebrook is designed is that it actually requires the 10-foot setback on the sides. And the reason that was noticeable to me, and it's been brought up here before that that's the standard for Schertz, is that I live in a community where I've looked at the houses and I'm like, I swear they are closer than 10 feet. Well, interestingly enough, my community is one that has been mentioned in here as well as the standard bearer. This is what we're looking for. This is the unique aspect that we would like to see in Saddlebrook, and that's the crossvine. So people look at the crossvine and they say, oh, that's very different. That is something that we like, and we're going to hold that up as an example. In the crossvine, you have 5-foot setbacks on the side. The houses are literally squished up against each other, and I don't think that that's the greatest look, but the community has other wonderful aspects about it, and we love our community. So I think to the concern of houses being too close and too congested, Saddlebrook is not going to be up against each other. In fact, and Rhine Valley is the same way. Those houses have 5-foot setbacks. So it's actually not as congested as we have seen in some other communities that have been lifted up as great examples of communities we like to have here in Schertz. And then the second thing is about what's going in there, what product is going in there. And I can tell you, as far as, Schertz is a wonderful city and people want to be here. I chose to live here. So I want to have that opportunity for more people. And what we don't have is a product that is a newer option, a newer housing option that's not 30, 40 years old, is not in a floodplain, and that a family can get into as maybe a starter home, maybe a second home, a step up. But this neighborhood, because you have 50, 60-foot lots with 10-foot setbacks, the product itself is going to be smaller. It has to be, because you don't have as much space to build. Smaller square footage means a smaller sale price, which means a little bit more affordable. And I know we talked about what's affordable, and it's all very, it's relative, but to me it says there's going to be a product in Schertz that is a little bit less expensive than what we have right now. And if anyone's familiar with the real estate market right now, on the average home, there is anywhere from 5 to 20 offers when someone puts their house on the market because there's not enough inventory. So people are moving here. We are not going to be able to stop that growth, but I would love to be able to see a variety of people welcomed into Schertz and have a place to go that is more diverse than what we have right now, which is really kind of expensive homes going in, or the much older homes that require a lot more maintenance, are in the floodplain. And by the way, if you buy a $175,000 house in the floodplain, you have to pay flood insurance, which you might as well have bought a $220,000 house out of the floodplain. So I just wanted to highlight those things, that the product that is being advertised here, I think it's very different than a cookie cutter, one on top of the other kind of neighborhood. I love the fact that we have that 10-foot setback requirement, that this PDD does specify that they're going to use the 10-foot setback and not cram them in there a little bit closer. And again, the Crossvine has 55, 60, and a few 70-foot lots. That's what that neighborhood has. And if that's what we're setting up as, like this is a great, this is a great neighborhood, then Saddlebrook is going to look very similar with a smaller product and a little bit more affordable, and I like that.
All right, Councilmember Dalla.
Yeah, just to follow up on a couple comments. At the, I think it was the most recent P&Z meeting, they had a discussion and a recommendation that's coming to council where Crossvine Development is adding 58 acres to the TERS. And watching that video, the developer for Crossvine mentioned that, in his words, the overwhelming majority of the lots that he's planning to bring in with that 58-acre addition are going to be 50-foot lots, because that's what the market wants. We have some of the other phases in the Crossvine, since we're talking about it, that do have the 70-foot lots and 60-foot lots, and that was because 5 years ago that's what the market wanted. But the market is changing, and we have a proposed project that's coming in that was meeting the needs of the market the way it is now, and probably will be for the next few years. To touch on the congestion, and O'Brien, we had this discussion many times at Planning and Zoning. Everybody's big concern always is all the cars and all the traffic. And, the fact of the matter is that we have to have the growth, we have to have the tax base, we have to get the taxes, we have to collect the taxes for several years before we can go and spend the money to improve the roads to be able to accommodate the people that moved there 3 years ago. And that's just the way it is, because we don't have the ability or the financial capacity to build these roads before the development gets there and gives us the tax revenue streams we need to support the bonds that we have to sell to be able to build the roads. And it's frustrating, it's aggravating, but I don't know anybody that's thought of a different or better way to do that. So I still support everything that I mentioned last week's meeting. I support what Saddlebrook is. I like the product that it's bringing in. I think it's appropriate for the area that it's in, fitting with adjacent to Rhine Valley. And let's just move forward with this and let's get it done.
All right. Councilmember Scagliola.
We didn't bruise Nick too badly last week, did we?
He started shaking before the meeting.
Yeah, okay.
He called EMS and said, "Why don't you
That's why he's not here."
off?" And his breathing slowed. He became okay.
All right. We'll try to be gentle with you, sir.
He's okay.
We haven't slung anything at you yet. Hey, I don't want to sound like a negative Nelly or anything, because there were some aspects of this Saddlebrook that I did like. I like the indents for the mailboxes, so that people don't have to open their car door into the traffic flow in order to go check their mail. The green spaces and trail system look good to me. I like that. Even the attempt to mitigate the on-street parking with the side parkings. I think it might be a little pie in the sky. Okay, having a nice long parking driveway, you theoretically could put 3 cars into it. Well, yeah, but what happens when the first person wants to get out and you have 2 cars in back of them? Human nature, I know something about that subject. People are going to be parking in the streets just so they don't have to go do the shuffle first thing in the morning. The traffic flow, that 120-foot right-of-way that's going right through there, man, that if that gets designed like that should take care of some of the traffic flow problem. But I still have a problem with the density. It's way too high. You know, a 70-foot lot isn't really huge. And it turns out there's only 110 of them that are 110 that are 70 foot, which means somewhere around 80 to 82, 83% of the subdivision is less than the 70-foot lots. I'd love to have a sit down with the planning and zoning and the staff. And hey, you know what? Let's figure out an appropriate percentage. As I said, a 70-footer really isn't an exceptionally large size lot. And in my view, the PDD shouldn't be used as a workaround for getting a whole bunch of things that really have, well, previous councils have sat down and said, no, we don't want the smaller lots. And I'm not saying they put a moratorium on them. They just took them out of the UDC, so they're not even available anymore. And yet it seems like, oh, well, this is a very convenient workaround to getting something that pretty much the city council said, no, we didn't need these. And as far as using Crossvine as a template, you know, there's a lot of aspects of Crossvine that I like. I don't like everything. I don't like 5-foot setbacks and things like that. I'd like to have enough room so that when you're mowing your lawn, you can actually turn your lawnmower around without having to back out of your side yard. That makes sense to me. So Crossvine isn't perfect, but it does have a nice traffic flow. It does have a lot of green spaces and an organic feel to it. And I think that's something that when we're comparing things to what Crossvine has to offer, I'm pretty sure that's what I mean at the very least. I'm still not happy with this subdivision. It's a lot better than Prideless Rock. Later became what is it?
Rhine Valley.
Rhine Valley, that's it. Yeah, it's always going to be Prideless Rock to me. But yeah, it is slightly better than that. But I think we can still do better. And I sure hope staff doesn't take their finger off the pulse for future developments that come down the line. That's all I have, sir.
All right. Council, any other comments? Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 21-06?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, second by Councilmember Dalla. Council, any other comments? If none, let's call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
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 Nay.
We have 5 ayes, 2 objections. Motion passes. All right. Next, we have roll call confirmation. Our City Secretary, Brenda Dennis, will provide a roll call confirmation on consent agenda items 1 through 4 and discussion item number 5. Ms. Dennis?
Yes, consent agenda items 1 through 4. Motion was made by Councilmember Hayward, seconded by Councilmember Brown. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, Councilmembers Davis, Scott, Dalla, Scagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes. No one voted no. Motion passed. Item number 5, ordinance number 21S06 on final reading. A motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, seconded by Councilmember Dalla. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, Councilmembers Davis, Dalla, Hayward, Brown voted yes. Councilmember Scott and Councilmember Scagliola voted no. Motion passed.
All right, thank you, Ms. Dennis. We'll move on to a workshop discussion and update regarding the COVID-19 virus in our current ordinance number 2818, our declaration of local disaster. Ms. Hall?
Good evening, Summer Hall, here with the COVID-19 update for this evening. So just to kind of kick off with the vaccination update, we will be doing another vaccination clinic this week, March 3rd through 5th, so Wednesday through Friday this week. We did receive 2 different rounds of, and I'm sorry I made a mistake on this, it's Moderna's second dose allocations. We did receive 1,000 of those. Those were ones we had previously done. Those will be on Thursday this week. The Pfizer should say first dose allocation. I apologize, that's my mistake. Is not second dose allocations. Those are first dose initial allocations of 3,510. Those will be administered on Wednesday and Friday this week. We'll be doing 1,755 on Wednesday and then the other 1,755 on Friday. As Maggie mentioned a little bit earlier, we have made some adjustments to the Civic Center schedule. Those events are going to be canceled through June 15th for 2 reasons. One, to ensure that renters and folks using our Civic Center are not subject to last-minute cancellations. They're able to make other arrangements. And it also minimizes that staff hours required for setup and takedown for the vaccination clinics, especially as our allocation numbers increase. This will help to minimize some of those, some of that time. The current numbers, so the same situation is for this week as it was for last week. DISH's Region 8 is not reporting local numbers, and the county is also just absorbed in their vaccination clinic activities. They have a large number to do this week as well. And so we don't have specific numbers for Schertz or really tied down information for Guadalupe County. So I'm using the DISH's dashboard information so that we have an apples to apples for each of those counties as we look at this. So our active cases for Guadalupe County this week are 148. Our active cases for Comal County are 314, and our active cases for Bexar County, 8,720. Those are all continuing to decrease as we continue to see that decline in positivity and general active cases around the area. Last week, the school district had 1 case. This week, they're only up to 8, 5 students and 3 staff members in the school district. Testing positivity, this is the first time in a long time we've seen single-digit positivity rates for testing, so this was really encouraging. Last week, the antigen rates were in the 3%, but the molecular was still in a double-digit. So this is the first week we're seeing a single-digit on those testing rates. So again, just continue to see a steady decline as our in our numbers as we move forward. Executive Order 34 was issued today. It will take effect on at 12:01 on March 10th. So counties that are not in an area with high hospitalization, as we mentioned last week, we're finally back down below that 15% of hospitalization rate. So this does apply to us. There are no COVID-19 related operating limits for any businesses or other establishments. I mean, businesses can open to that 100%. No persons may be required by any jurisdiction to wear or to mandate the wearing of face covering. So this did lift that statewide mask mandate. However, individuals are still strongly encouraged to wear those face coverings if it's not feasible to maintain that 6-foot distance. So they lifted the mandate, but still encouraging that if you're not able to maintain a distance. Nothing in the order precludes businesses or other establishments from requiring employees or customers to follow additional hygiene measures, including the wearing of a face covering. They're just not enforceable by a mandate. This did rescind Executive Orders 17, 25, 29, and 31. The only 2 really that are left in place don't apply to us. They're county jail and I forget what 13 was, but it was one that wasn't applicable to us as well. It's not something that we have here in the area. Public health department's reporting requirements, so we don't report numbers for COVID positivity. We only receive that data. So those are the only 2 executive orders that were not rescinded with this current order. And again, that will go in effect on March 10th. Daily new cases, again, you'll see this number continue to decline. We're into 6,000. Last week we're at 7,000. So these are new cases across the state, not just in our area, but across the state. And as we continue to look at our hospitalization rate, so We've kind of stayed steady for the last few days. We dropped down to that 8% of hospitalization rate, which is good. As long as we stay below that 15%, then the executive order will apply to us as written. And then just to kind of note again, this was the case last week, but is still the case this week. We're doing really well across the state. So everybody's really come down significantly in that hospitalization rate, and we're seeing a pretty good turnout. You can even see several areas are below 5%, which is just really well. So doing really well. Hospitalization rates for Barrett County, so our numbers continue to decline. We have 447 COVID positive patients in the trauma service P area. And then patients in ICU is 195, and then 111 are on ventilators. So that's our update for this week. I'll take any questions.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Council, Mayor Pro Temp Whitaker?
Yes, ma'am. So with all of those new shots, doses that you had, where are we on the wait list? How close are we to having to open that up? And
so we finished out the wait list with this round. We were able to contact everyone. There have been hiccups with people's incorrect information entered into that wait list, and we are working through those with 311 and working through those as they come up. We are still filling these last couple of appointments for Wednesday and Friday. We are going to do that we're going to send out a civic ready notice to try to fill these last appointments with our residents here locally. And then we will open up the waitlist process again next week. So our plan is Monday evening and Tuesday we'll be doing the open call for people to sign up for a waitlist. And we'll expand the wait list this next time to 10,000. And so, just kind of start that process over again. But we were actually able to work through the wait list that we had pretty quickly.
okay, great. So that's awesome. So it sounds like next week we should get another Civic Ready announcement that says that the wait list is opening up. What's the lead time on that announcement coming out through Civic Ready?
So it'll be we'll open it up again at 5 p.m. on Monday. And because the calls come in almost automatically once the message goes out, we'll do the message just right before 5 o'clock, so that once they're notified, then our phone center will be open to receive those calls.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, Councilmember Scott.
Thank you. So can you go back to page 12? I was going to take a picture of it, but then you turned it. That's just for me to digest later. Thank you. That's good news. I'm glad everything's moving in the right direction. Thank God. Question, is there any difference between the first and the second dose, not logistically, on a chemical level, or is it just like half here and half there, or is it different?
Same dose.
It's the same one? You just get it twice?
Yes.
Okay, good. I did not know that, so thank you. I read an article about a glut of COVID tests in the New York Times across the United States. Like there's going to just be tons of tests of the COVID tests. Do you anticipate that being the case in Texas and in Schertz?
That people are requesting additional?
No, we just have a lot of them laying around.
Left over? Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the supply is currently. We have a small supply here in the city, but we do continue to test potentially COVID positive employees. But I'm not sure what the supply is.
Okay, I was just wondering about that. And then, because I know they're expensive and all, I don't know. I just wondered how we were compared to the U.S. The executive mask order, that was kind of interesting today. I thought that was really good news for Texas businesses. When do you think the emergency proclamation itself will be lifted?
So it's hard to say. So ours auto renews with the governor's automatic renewal, and that should occur on March 4th or may not. We just won't know until that day. I did put in an inquiry to the governor's office today for that, and we weren't able to get a definite answer today. So we'll have to kind of see what happens on March 4th and adjust from there.
Yeah, I was so riveted whenever I read that today. I just thought it was fantastic. And I thought it was really bad of the Governor Newsom of California to dog Texas for doing that, because look anywhere and read any article. You can never take 100% of the risk out of life. But as long as we're moving in the right direction and there's vaccines for people who want them, and kudos to City Council and certainly to Schertz, the management, y'all have done a fantastic job in getting people the vaccines who need them so we can open up again. Don't mean to go on a rant or go down the rabbit hole. I'm just saying. And then I think this is commentary, it's not a question. I think it's a very good idea to stop the rentals until June 15. I haven't been able to go and volunteer or to do in that direction, but I think for safety and, sanitizing and just to not have to keep changing gears, I think whoever made that call, that was very good. So thank you very much. I appreciate the information. I'm thrilled we're getting better. Yay.
So one thing just to mention is noteworthy for this week, we will hit our 10,000th vaccine given this week on Friday. So that's noteworthy. No, you're right. They get a lollipop. So thank you for coming. So.
Council, any other comments? I do have yes, Councilmember Scagliola.
Yeah, so thank you so very much. My wife reads things on her phone and then says, "Yeah, I know that." She says, "Well, how do you know everything?" I says, "We get a briefing every week." So thank you so very much for your wealth of knowledge. You really are. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine, single shot, seems logistically speaking should speed things up considerably. Is there a specific rollout date for that vaccine?
We have not received a rollout date. They did receive some in Texas, but we're not sure when they'll be pumped into the supply that we receive. We don't, just as we never know how many we're getting, we're not sure what brand we're getting until we get notification. Okay, and the categories of individuals that can't get the vaccine right now, the 1A, 1B, where are we standing with that? So the state, they have not even given a timeline for the next category because there's still so many in that phase 1B that are going to be covered. It's a significant portion of our population that fall into that 1B, and so they haven't even designated the next rollout at this point. We're still just heavy into the 1B. So we're at 10,000 vaccinated in Guadalupe County right now? Well, it's not 10,000 vaccinated. So that's our first and second doses. So this will be our 10,000th vaccine given in the city of Schertz clinics. So this is just Schertz clinics, but it'll be our 10,000th vaccine. But that's not Seguin is also 5,000 people vaccinated. Yeah. Seguin is also has a center, don't they? Or yes, Seguin has vaccine clinic this week as well. Yeah, I'm just wondering what the percentage of Guadalupe County's been vaccinated already. Oh, great. That's super. Hey, once again, thank you so very much. Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Haywood.
I was just going to point out just today that I heard that they said in the state of Texas there's about probably 8 million people that fit into the 1B category.
All right. I do have a proposal for council. The vaccine has to be our priority, and I know it takes time for you to provide these briefings and takes away from what needs to be accomplished tomorrow. If it is okay with council to provide this briefing at least just once a month, the first meeting of the month, are the slides available so that we can make them as packets? Absolutely. Any objection from council?
That's a great idea.
Okay. So going forward, will be the first. Yes. Yes, Councilmember Davis.
I'm okay with the overall briefing once a month, and they can just email it. I'm okay with it just being emailed in the packet. I do like the slide that's being displayed now. I do like seeing the the local weekly numbers, if that's not too intrusive to generate, because to me this is the real trend that I worry about. I mean, people get come in contact with COVID, and again, some people aren't affected by it or it's mild, but to me, the true tale of the tape is watching the trends of the people that have to be hospitalized or be in an ICU or be on a ventilator. So if we could get this just weekly emailed out, that'd be great.
Okay. So I guess going forward, it'll be the first of the month, and then the packets will be part of information packet on a weekly basis that's not covered.
Okay.
I think that's a consensus. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. The reason we're canceling next week's meeting is basically because of the large number of doses we're given. So we're giving 4,500, which is 3 times what we've done in the past. It's a massive effort by staff. And, frankly, some things have to give, and that's why we closed the Civic Center. We may want to go to 2 council meetings a month through June. It just depends on how the staff, how this thing goes, because we can't even plan week to week. We may have 500 next week and it won't be a big deal, or we may have 7,500. We may be doing clinics, Monday through Friday. So we just don't know, and they're not giving us any advance notice. So, that's why something sort of had to give, and that's driving some of the decisions that we're making, and I wanted to let you know that. The other thing on the mask mandate, I think this is going to cause some issues within the staff, so I'd like to get a little bit of feedback from you all. I don't know if we can go back to that slide.
Slide number 8.
Yeah, I'm not doing this very well. Yeah, would you? We could wait here all night.
No.
Wait a minute.
There you go.
So in the middle there, it says, no person may be required by any jurisdiction to wear or mandate the wearing of a face covering. And so, I'm assuming that we're a jurisdiction. I mean, we're a city. A jurisdiction is a city or a county, or they may be something else. My interpretation of that statement is that we are not allowed to mandate the wearing of a face covering. It's not true about businesses. Businesses can still do that. It's going to be impossible to enforce. I mean, literally impossible for us to enforce, and really you can't even enforce it, as far as I can tell. But I just kind of want to know: are you all okay if we, effective next Wednesday, we say we're not wearing masks, we're not requiring the wearing of masks at City Hall, meaning employees and/or our customers who come in?
Let me ask a question real quick. I guess our city attorney can earn his money tonight. With the jurisdiction definition, I would interpret it as being the area that the city is within the corporate city limits and not dealing with the city staff.
And Mark and I did not have an opportunity to discuss this earlier. We pushed out an email this afternoon that we disagree. We don't believe this impacts the city's ability to dictate terms on its own property. You can't dictate terms within your jurisdiction, but on your own property and for your own employees, you can still, in our opinion, require masks. This did not take away that right.
And I know I've already heard on the news many employers are still intending to require that their employees wear face masks, as well as any vendors that are servicing them. Personally, I would be fine with whatever decision the city management takes as to how you guys want to handle it with the city employees.
Okay, well, I think we would like to talk to the other cities too in the county and see as a group what they're thinking.
What we can continue to do is continue to wear the face mask up until the 23rd when we meet again and make a final decision as council.
We can.
But we cannot mandate businesses on what their decision is. We're talking about city employees and city property is what we're discussing here.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilman.
I kind of like where Doc Brown was going this until he made his last comment. I don't see the value. I agree with the attorney. The way I read that is the city cannot put out its own edict that says, in spite of what Texas says, all establishments, all businesses, all whatever in the city of Schertz will require a mask. But that last one says nothing precludes businesses or other establishments, which includes, to my understanding, the city of Schertz. I don't understand the value of reaching out to any other city to find out what they're doing. To me, the important thing is reaching out to our employees and finding out what makes our employees feel safe.
Well, I think we're going to be all over the map.
I understand that.
I'm going to get both ways.
But, you know, what a neighboring city decides to do or not do with regards to a public health situation, we can't control what Cibolo or Selma or Live Oak does. I would rather defer, again, to city management, but I think the decision ought to be based on what makes our employees comfortable versus what somebody in a neighboring town feels.
Councilmember Scott?
I think it's a slippery slope because you have some people who are so genuinely terrified, and frankly, I was stunned whenever, okay, you get the vaccine, but you still have to wear a mask, and maybe for a year. It's like, really? On other vaccines like the flu, you don't have to wear a mask for a year if you get the vaccine, and the whole premise of getting a vaccine is to protect yourself. So if you get a vaccine and you're protected to where you can't get the COVID, why are you worried about what he's doing or what she's doing if you have that freedom to make the choice for yourself? And so I think that I was stunned before the governor put out his mask mandate that I was getting some pretty hostile emails from citizens demanding that we make everybody in the city of Schertz wear a mask. And it is like, where does one person's freedom or liberty start and where does another one's not? And that's it's a real slippery slope. You can get heavy-handed and dictatorial, but also if you have a big committee, it can, like you said, Dr. Brown, it can get away from you fast. And you are correct, sir.
Yes, Councilmember Hayward.
My question could it just be the person's personal decision whether they feel comfortable wearing it or they don't want to wear it? Because there may be some that don't and some that do.
That's still their choice. There's still that choice.
That is an option. We can make it, but you're going to have employees who are not comfortable with being around people who don't wear masks. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's going to be reality that I'm going to have to face, as a decision maker.
So, Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker.
Something that I just thought of is that, as the city, if we're just talking about the city as an entity, an employer, that kind of thing, whatever decision we all come to or you all come to, I think it's going to set the example for the city itself and for other businesses. I think if the city as an entity says, while the governor lifted the restrictions, we as an entity are going to continue to mandate that our employees and our guests wear them. I think other businesses in town will feel like, well, maybe we should do that as well. And then vice versa, if you say, the requirement is lifted, we as a city are going to lift it, I think it'll free up businesses. So all I'm saying, I'm not saying which one is the right answer, because like you said, you're going to have to deal with the individuals and some people will feel uncomfortable. But I think it is going to set an example, so it might be something to think about, which direction we're trying to lean as far as, where are we ready to go as a city. But also being that there have been a lot of allowances during this time for people to work from home, and if there's obviously we've had to deal with that already, so I'm not really sure how the removing of the masks, if there's have you talked to people within the staff or employees that have expressed that it's only the mask that's making them feel comfortable here, and they would, if without the mask they would go home? Or do you think that it's the same individuals who just don't want to be anywhere around people because of COVID in general, with or without the mask?
I don't have an answer to that. I think we'll have a conversation with our employees and with our department heads starting tomorrow to try to get a feel for where they think their employees are. I think they'll know by and large what the issues are. So I do think there's value in talking to other cities because they face the same problem. We're all in this together. We've all sort of gone through this whole thing together. The county has basically been united. We have had similar policies all the way through this, basically following the governor, and we talk every week. So I do think there's value in getting a variety of opinions on it.
Yeah, our next meeting with Judge Kuchar is on Tuesday before this executive order kicks in. So by that time, we'll have a clear understanding where all the other cities are at.
So by this time next week, we'll understand better where the employees stand, and so we'll definitely go through next Tuesday, and we'll have to decide by then on what we're going to do.
Yes, Councilmember Scott.
Were the Schertz employees I don't want to say the first in line, but have all of them have the opportunity to get vaccinated?
So that's a good question. Not all of them, because not all of them are 1A and 1B. So our 1As, which are our first responders, police, fire, EMS, have all had the opportunity. Now, they have not all done it, but they have all had the opportunity. We have not made it mandatory for them to do so. Many of the other employees have gotten the vaccine. As we come to the end and we have some left over, we don't want to waste anything, and so a certain number, I don't have the number, have done that, and we would like to get them all vaccinated as soon as we can, but we have the larger interest of the community also.
So that was one of my, whenever all of this is coming through, that's what popped in my head was, well, the people are, they're afraid of catching the COVID. I didn't know if they've all been vaccinated or not. And then what Councilwoman Whitaker was saying about the remote working, that might be an option for you to consider until they're able to get vaccinated. That might be an accommodation that you might want to offer them.
Right, and we've done that.
Okay, and personally, I think it's wise to ask other cities and try to get consensus. I think Guadalupe County as a whole tends to be a little more conservative than, less conservative. I don't even like using that word. Let me find a neutral word. Less restrictive than San Antonio. Yeah. And I like that. That's very appealing personally. And I know our constituents, many of them feel the same way. So I'm sure you'll make the right decision, Dr.
All right.
Brown.
Well, thank you.
All right. That's no other questions? Thank you, Dr. Brown. All right. There's no action taken, just a consensus of that this workshop is now required every week, just once the first meeting of the month. So we'll move on to item number 7, update on major projects. That information packet was provided to council and available for public viewing at our homepage, schertz.com. So we'll continue with requests and announcements. Announcements by our city manager, Dr. Brown. Okay. Council, any possible updates or information requested from staff? Council, any items you'd like to place on the future agenda? None. Okay. Announcements by council members. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker.
Yes, so this week I attended Amy's All-Star Dance Studios ribbon cutting. So while they've been in the community for many years, they are now part of the chamber, and it was really exciting to see them having successfully made it through the winter storm and the COVID and everything else. So that was a really nice experience. And then just volunteering at the COVID clinic.
All right. Councilmember Davis.
Nothing, sir.
Councilmember Scott. All right, Councilmember Dalla.
Just a couple little events. The retirement ceremony for Jimmy Hooks and for Eber Bush, well done, well planned, and tremendous thank you to both those gentlemen for their many years of service. And then I stopped by the little Commons Market that started over on Main Street a couple months ago. There's more and more vendors showing up for that and some pretty cool stuff. So, come on by and check it out when they do it. It's the first Saturday of every month.
Councilmember Scagliola?
Yeah, I went to a plaque presentation today at the chamber, Jenny King's, and last week I forgot something. It was rodeo time, and usually we have the Care County horses and wagons come through the city. Well, I kind of missed that this year, but Frost Bank still had their chuck wagon breakfast. And it was cold, and it was drizzly, and it wasn't a whole lot of fun, but God bless them, they were out there carrying on the tradition. So thanks so much to the personnel of Frost Bank. That's all I have, sir.
Councilmember Hayward?
Yes, I attended the ribbon cutting at Amy's dance studio. They had been in the area for about 18 years. While we were there, jokingly, a said person decided that maybe we could have a dance-off contest between Schertz and Cibolo if we took lessons from Amy and her dance teachers. I think it's a joke, and I don't think we want to do that, but I figured I'd mention it. Oh, he was serious. Brian James mentioned it. He was serious. Okay. I attended the COVID vaccine clinic. And they keep doing a fantastic job with running the clinic and the wonderful volunteers that come out. It's just immensely overwhelming, and the number of people that are very thrilled that we're doing it. And then they want to come volunteer, so it's fantastic. So keep up the good work. I attended the Jimmy Hooks and Eber Bush retirement ceremony, and that was a really nice event, well decorated. And then I did the plaque presentation for Janie King, who's opened up a commercial cleaning business. And at this time, because of COVID, business is really booming for them. And it was a nice little plaque presentation. And she got her Schertz pin, and she was very excited to get one of those Schertz pins. She's been wanting one. So that is all.
All right. Councilmember Brown?
Nothing else.
All right. The time is now 7:18. We